The blizzard had swallowed most of the highway when Deputy Nora Landry spotted something strange. Her K9, Juno, stiffened in the backseat and let out a low, quivering growl. She slowed the cruiser, windshield wipers fighting a losing battle. That's when she saw him, a toddler, barefoot, standing in the snow, alone. But it wasn't just the cold or the impossible setting that made Nora's hands tremble. It was the way Juno stared at the child, as if he recognized him, as if some unspoken memory had clawed its way back. If you're still here by the end, stay close. You may need a moment to breathe. The snow had been falling since dawn, thick and relentless. Every radio in Carter County warned folks to stay off the roads, but that didn't stop the calls from coming in. Somewhere past the ridge, a power line was down. An old couple needed insulin. A truck had slid into the ravine. Nora was working her third double shift this week, boots damp and spine aching, but she didn't mind. The silence of snow was easier than the silence at home. She sipped lukewarm gas station coffee, eyes scanning the white blur beyond the windshield. Her K9 partner, Juno, a 6-year-old sable German shepherd, had been restless all morning, his nose twitching, paws scraping the cage floor like something unseen was stalking them. Then, without warning, he barked. Sharp, singular. Nora hit the brakes. The cruiser groaned to a stop. "What is it?" she whispered. Juno's eyes were locked ahead, unmoving. She followed his gaze, squinted, and her breath caught in her throat. A child, no older than 2, standing in the ditch, shirtless, skin flushed purple from cold. For a second, the snow made him flicker like a mirage. Then he moved. 1 step, 2. Then he sat, not crying, not afraid, just waiting. Jesus Christ. Nora fumbled for her door. "Stay," she ordered Juno, but the dog let out a low whine. His tail didn't wag. His ears were flat. Nora trudged into the snow, boots sinking. "Hey there, sweetheart. You okay?" The boy didn't look at her. His eyes stayed on Juno. Even when she crouched near, even when she took off her coat and wrapped him inside it, he never turned his head. He just kept staring at the dog. Only when Juno stepped out of the cruiser and slowly padded forward did the boy finally blink. He reached a trembling hand. "Juno," Nora said, uncertain. The shepherd sniffed the air, then gently lowered his head. Their eyes met, dog and child. Then the boy whispered something. It was too soft to hear. But whatever it was, it made Juno whimper, and it made Nora's knees give out. She carried him into the cruiser, fumbling with the heater. Called dispatch. No missing child reports. No footprints in the snow. No tire tracks. Just this half-frozen ghost of a boy who hadn't shed a single tear. By the time they reached the rural clinic, the boy was asleep. His heartbeat? Normal. No frostbite. No bruising. No explanation. Except for one thing. The nurse called her into the hallway with a pale face. "Deputy, you said you found him just now. 10 minutes ago. He's clean. I know. The snow. No. I mean, too clean. His fingernails. His hair. Even his diaper. It's dry. Fresh. Like someone took care of him this morning." Nora blinked. Then where the hell did he come from? That night, Nora sat in her kitchen with her coat still on. Coffee gone cold. Juno lay on the floor, head low, eyes wide, watching the front door like someone might knock. The boy's face wouldn't leave her, nor would his whisper, because just before he drifted off in the cruiser, he'd turned to Juno and said something again. Nora had leaned in, and this time she heard it, not words. A name. Juno. He had said the dog's name, but that wasn't possible. No one outside the station even knew the dog's name. Not anymore, because Juno had once belonged to someone else. Someone who vanished 4 years ago, and the boy who vanished with her. Nora couldn't sleep, not after that whisper. She kept hearing the boy's voice, soft and cracked like wind through pine, saying Juno's name as if it belonged to him. But it didn't. It had belonged to Marla Quinn. Nora had tried to forget that case, tried to swallow it down like all the others. But some ghosts weren't interested in forgiveness. 4 winters ago, Marla, a rookie officer barely 2 months into force, took Juno out on a search and never came back. The snow swallowed her cruiser, and the official report claimed she veered off Old Mill Road in a storm. They found the wreck a week later. Mangled. Empty. No sign of her. No body. And strangest of all, no sign of her 2-year-old son, Caleb, who she was never supposed to have taken with her. That detail had been buried. Whispers inside the department. An off-the-record baby. Nora had found out the night before the funeral when she heard Marla's sister sobbing in the station lobby. She said they were watching her, that someone knew about Caleb. That was the last time Nora let herself think too hard about it. But now a barefoot toddler had whispered her dead partner's K9's name, and something inside Nora broke loose. She pulled out her phone and opened the secure case archive. Typed Marla Quinn. Juno's ears twitched, as if he knew. She scrolled until she found it, a blurry photo taken 2 weeks before Marla disappeared. The only known picture of Caleb. Nora's breath caught. The boy from the snow wasn't just similar. He was identical. Same curls. Same sleepy, tilted eyes. But that made no sense. That photo was from 4 years ago, and the boy she'd pulled from the snow couldn't be older than 2. At dawn, Nora drove back to where she'd found him. Snow still blanketed the ditch. No signs of struggle. No tracks. But Juno leapt from the cruiser before she could stop him and ran toward the tree lean, barking twice, then falling silent. Nora followed, boots crunching. The pines opened into an old trail, half swallowed by winter. She hadn't realized where she was until she saw the rusted sign. Pine Hollow Sanitarium, closed. Her spine tightened. The state had shuttered the place 20 years ago, but rumors still floated through town, of flickering lights at night. Strange sounds, broken locks that relocked themselves. Kids dared each other to sneak in. Most ran out. She stepped onto the rotting porch. Juno whined. Inside, the air felt thicker, colder, as if the snow had crept beneath the floorboards and made a nest. Most of the walls were bare, but something glittered on one of them. Nora stepped closer. Drawings. Hundreds. Pinned up with rusted thumbtacks. All of the same thing. A boy, holding hands with a tall woman. And behind them, a dog. Juno. She turned. The floor creaked behind her, but it was only Juno, staring down a narrow hallway. And just before she turned to follow him, Nora saw it. A name scratched beneath the last drawing. Caleb. The clinic called 2 hours later. The boy's gone, the nurse said. What? We stepped out for 1 second. Came back. His bed was empty. You didn't see anyone? Nothing. But there was this. Nora returned to the station and found a note sitting on her desk. It was folded in 4, the paper soft from age, written in a woman's hand. If you're reading this, it means I didn't make it. But if he came back, please don't let them take him again. No signature, but she knew the handwriting. Marla. Nora felt like the floor tilted under her. The boy hadn't been missing for 4 years. He'd been gone, removed, hidden, by someone with access. Someone who knew where Marla had driven. Someone who didn't want Caleb to be found. Someone inside. That evening, Nora went to see the only other person still on the force who had worked the Quinn case, Sergeant Hal Briggs. He lived alone in a trailer on the edge of Granger's Ridge. The old man opened the door, cigarette already burning. Didn't expect to see you. I found Caleb. The way his face changed, it wasn't shock. It was something closer to fear. She stepped inside. Juno stayed by the door. You knew, Nora said. Didn't you? Briggs sank into his chair, rubbed his temples. I told her not to run. I told her it'd only make it worse. Who was after her? He didn't answer. Nora walked to his kitchen, opened the old steel filing box on the counter. Inside, photos, maps, documents labeled with DCS, unfiled reports, all with one name redacted, all from the same year, all pointing to one pattern. Children removed from homes under sealed orders. Some never rehomed. Some never found. I didn't know what they were doing at first. Briggs said quietly, I thought it was just another screwed up bureaucracy. You helped cover it up. I didn't have a choice. Nora stepped closer. Who took him, Hal? His eyes welled. You don't understand. You can't fight them. They're not in the system. They are the system. Then something outside rattled. Juno stood, growled. Nora turned and saw headlights. 2 black vehicles pulling up. No markings. Just silence. The lights outside dimmed as the engines cut. 2 black SUVs, parked end to end at the edge of the ridge. Doors didn't open. Not right away. Nora drew her sidearm without thinking. Juno stood stiff at her side, growling low. Briggs didn't move. Just whispered, "You need to run." Not without answers. "You don't get answers," he said. "You get warned. Then you get buried." The front SUV door opened. A man stepped out, tall in a black coat, face pale and unreadable. He didn't look like law enforcement. He looked like a banker. Or a funeral director. He didn't knock. He just looked through the trailer window, straight at Juno. And Juno whimpered, backed away, ears pinned. Nora had never seen him do that. Not once. Briggs pushed a piece of paper into her hand. Coordinates. The original drop site, where Marla tried to hide him. "Why didn't you tell someone?" "I was someone. That's why they came for me first." The second SUV door opened. A woman stepped out this time. Not armed, not moving fast. But there was something in her eyes. Not cruel, not angry, just empty. As if she had long since forgotten what warmth was. Juno began to shake. Nora backed toward the back door. "Come on." Briggs didn't move. "I've got one lesson left to pay." "You don't." The back door opened to snow. Frozen crust. Moonlight shining off drifts like broken glass. She ran, Juno beside her. Her boots punched through the surface, breath burning her throat. Down the ridge, through the trees. She didn't stop until the trailer exploded. No fire, no sound, just a sudden bloom of light. Then ash, and darkness. 48 hours later, the coordinates led her into old timber company land. Off-grid, no signal, no patrol coverage. She used chains on her tires. Every turn threatening to strand her in the forest. Juno didn't bark once. Just stared out the window, waiting. The last stretch was a footpath choked with ice. She walked it alone. A mile in, she found a fence, barbed wire long rusted, signs barely legible. Beyond it, a cabin. One room, sagging roof, and inside, a fire still smoldering. Someone had been here. Recently. Juno led her to the trapdoor. She braced herself, pistol drawn, and lifted it. Below, a root cellar. Dust, bunk bed, tin cans, and drawings. Hundreds of them, all of the same child. Caleb, growing older, smiling, then screaming. She found the final picture nailed into the floor. A black car, a boy with no face, and a dog. Juno. Nora turned. He was already staring at the cellar door, whining. Then she heard it, a faint shuffle, a cry. She raised her light and saw him. Same boy, curled into the back corner, dirt smudging his cheeks, eyes wide. But this time, he ran to her. And Juno, he didn't say a word, just threw his arms around the shepherd's neck and wept. 3 days later, they sat together at the safe house, deep in the mountains, miles from any road. A trusted contact in another jurisdiction had arranged it. No names, no official reports. Caleb was sleeping on the couch. Juno curled beside him like a guardian. Nora poured coffee and stared into the dark. She knew they'd come again, knew this wasn't over. But for now, just for now, the boy was safe. She'd made a promise to Marla, even if she'd never gotten to say it aloud. No more hiding, no more silence. She'd expose them. From the inside, whatever they were. As the wind howled over the eaves, Nora looked at the boy one more time. The boy who hadn't aged in 4 years, who remembered nothing except the dog's name, who drew pictures of things no child should have seen. Maybe some questions didn't have answers. Maybe the snow buried more than tracks. But Juno had found him, and that was something she could still believe in, even when nothing else made sense. Epilogue 100 words. Sometimes the snow keeps secrets. Sometimes it gives them back. Nora never filed a report. She left the department quietly. A transfer, they said, but in the cold corners of the country, in towns with too many missing kids and too few answers, they still whisper about her, about the boy who didn't age, about the dog who remembered him, and the woman who wouldn't let them bury it. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. And wherever you are, keep your eyes open. Sometimes the truth doesn't knock. It just waits in the snow.